Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. 5 things that we learned watching England take it to Wales, essentially. In at number 1, we've got to talk about Marcus Rashford, don't we? We have to talk about Marcus Rashford. So, real deal. Carried the form that we've seen so far in the Premier League this season right into the World Cup and looks every single bit the player that we hoped he would be a few years ago. It's been a long road. He's had about 18 months or so where he's been just completely nothing like himself as a player. The physical problems that he's had have been evident. Just every single thing about him has been obvious, and it's been affecting him, and the injuries that he's had have really took a toll. But as I said at the time, any player that plays for a broken back for Manchester United, for me, gets a second chance, and he's showing why he deserves that second chance at the moment. He came into this season looking physically fit, and as the season has gone on, he has looked more and more mentally fit, and that to me is huge. Confidence is surging. He was England's man of the match last night, and only 2 players have scored 3+ goals for England at a World Cup, and that is Sir Bobby Charlton in 1966 and Dr. Marcus Rashford, MBE, in 2022. Number 2, second half surge. It's been a second half tournament, and not just for England but for every team. Teams have been keeping it very, very tight. We've seen a lot of really, really close games and not a lot of goals in the first half of games, but that continued for England. A lot of teams, I think, maybe are tiring, and a lot of teams are really starting to find their rhythm come the second half, and England was the same. The difference in strength and depth, I think, is starting to take hold for some of the nations against some of the other nations, and actually England were probably unlucky not to pile it on, and Marcus himself could have had a hat-trick or more. And Wales are probably lucky they didn't come away with 5 or 6 goals down, because they could have easily been that. Number 3, tournament top scorers. England are now the tournament's top scorers. Yes, there's a few more teams that have got to play their 3rd game, Spain being one of them, who you would think are probably going to take that mantle by the time their games finishes, but they have scored the most goals by an English team, well, I guess since the last one. The last one they scored 12 goals in all games. In 66 they scored 11. In 2022 they've already got 9. So things look a little bit different for England as it stands right this second. They seem to have already surpassed the level of goals that they've scored at previous tournaments, but I do think you have to take into account the level of opposition that they've played hasn't been great. They were shut out by the USA. The attacking talent is there. It's whether or not Gareth Southgate continues to go on the front foot, which I don't even know if he did fully, to be honest, but if he continues to go on the front foot when it's time to play the likes of France or someone like that in the latter stages, because that's when I think you'll start to see Gareth Southgate start to really slow down the attacking play. Number 4, Foden answered the call. Gareth before the game said that he didn't want to play him centrally because it's not where he plays for his club, and I absolutely disagree with that, because he's playing players out of position compared to where they play for their clubs. Southgate, I think, has done a lot of good in terms of how he's united the team, and he's got rid of all that sort of stuff that some of the older England squads used to have, where the United players would sit together and the Liverpool players would sit together and they wouldn't even make eye contact with each other. That's gone. He's definitely brought like a Club England kind of vibe back to the national team, where the national team comes first before the club rivalries. That has to be a positive within the camp, but I would also argue that when you do things like that, the other things that you come out and say become under scrutiny, and I think what he says quite often is the opposite of the actions that you see him putting out, and that for me doesn't sit altogether quite right. And finally, England's chance. Where do England finish this World Cup? It's Senegal on Sunday in the next round. They've qualified for the round of 16 with a +7 goal difference, which is their highest ever goal difference in a group stage. It is an unpredictable tournament, and we've seen a few upsets already. They haven't been in the strongest of groups. It was a very winnable group, which they've gone on and done. Senegal without Mane doesn't really put England on the back foot, I don't think. The quarters and the semi-finals will be huge tests, but I expect them to qualify for the quarters, and if it is, as expected, France, I don't expect them to get beyond France. Now, if they do, then they are absolutely going to deserve the plaudits that will come their way. And it's also Portugal in the semi, which is what I predict it will be, France then Portugal, and then looking at Brazil or Argentina in the final. If England go on and win it from here, and you know me, I'm not sitting here telling you that that's going to happen, because I think France are going to smash them in the quarters. But if they were to go on and win it from this point, then I don't think there could be any doubt whatsoever that England have done it the right way. Yes, they've had an easy group. Yes, Senegal is a very winnable game for a team that expects to go to the quarters at least, or maybe even the semis. But when you look at who they would have to beat, France, Portugal, Brazil or Argentina, and you couldn't, with any sort of sense, say that they wouldn't have deserved to win it if that is what they do. And even if they do it by playing free at the back and pragmatic counter-attacking football, it wouldn't matter. It'd still be an incredible achievement to go and do. I just don't feel like they're going to do it. But either way, you lot, let me know in the comments, how do you think this is going to pan out? How do you think this is going to go? Where do you think England are going to finish? And give me, is your prediction for who's going to win the thing changing at all? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.